Well, friends of Mundo Maldini, here we are where we usually do the notes for the big matches. Let's go with the notes from this Intercontinental Cup between Real Madrid and Pachuca. A match, you already have the video right after a match that was quite comfortable for Real Madrid. There is talk that the title is not very important. I do not agree at all. It is true that the rival was not a rival of great footballing importance. But to reach this Intercontinental Cup, you have to have won the Champions League. This is a no-brainer, but we often seem to forget it. Friends of Mundo Maldini, we must not take any credit away from Real Madrid's title, just as we would not take any credit away from any other team, of course. So first of all, because I've been reading some comments on the post-match video, I honestly don't understand it. I respect people, but I don't understand many of them. But anyway, let's get to the notes on this Real Madrid versus Pachuca match, Intercontinental Cup, where Real Madrid wins 3-0 and is crowned world champion. All right, let's go. Well, friends of Mundo Maldini, you know that we sponsor the city of Ceuta, which is a marvel. You have to visit it because it's spectacular, and I'm here in one of the most emblematic areas of the city. You can do private tours, that's for sure, but they can be done at the legendary Caliphate Gate. This was the entrance to the city during the Arab period around the 11th century, and well, it's crazy. This was buried for 1,000 years without anyone discovering it. It was discovered by chance, and for 10 years, work had to be done here to make it possible. This is all intact, practically as it was back in the day, and it's a true marvel. It's an impressive site, one of the best archaeological works that have been discovered in Spain. Ceuta, you have to visit. It's amazing. This is all intact, practically as it was back in the day, and it's a true marvel. It's an impressive site, one of the best archaeological works that have been discovered in Spain. Ceuta, you have to visit it. It's amazing. Let's talk about the match. All right, let's go. Friends of Mundo Maldini. Let's talk about Courtois. The truth is, he hardly had any work to do. Thibaut Courtois practically didn't have to intervene. Well, there was a stop in the second half with a cross, but practically nothing. That shot from Rondon went over the bar. So I'm leaving Thibaut Courtois unqualified. I mentioned it before the match on Cope. I said that the level of Pachuca was, for me, the most unbalanced of the teams that Real Madrid has faced in finals, whether in Club World Cups or Intercontinental Cups. I remember the one where Madrid lost to Boca with Palermo, the one against Peñarol, which I have recorded, by the way, from the 60s. I've seen it in full. The one against Vasco da Gama, the one against Olimpia, even the one against the Saudi team or San Lorenzo, of course. I think this was the most unbalanced one. In my opinion, friends of Mundo Maldini, because I've seen quite a few matches of Pachuca, but I insist that doesn't take away any credit. No credit at all. What fault does Madrid have if Pachuca eliminates Botafogo and Al Ahly from Cairo and makes it to the Intercontinental Cup? The credit goes to having won the Champions League and being there. The dominance of European football is evident over American football, at least at the club level. Not so much at the national team level, because of course Argentina is the world champion, but definitely at the club level, and it's something I want to highlight here. I insist, European clubs have the economic potential to attract the best American players. That's a reality. It's also true that Pachuca finished at the bottom of the Mexican League. He wasn't in good shape at all. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's talk about Lucas Vázquez. It's just that besides the notes, I wanted to clarify these things, and I want your opinion in the comments. In the end, Lucas Vázquez causes a penalty. He tried with a penalty, which clearly means 3-0 to definitely close the match. They didn't create much attack either. It's just that Madrid didn't come out of sleep in the first 15 or 20 minutes. And it's true that he doesn't generate much. For me, a 6 for Lucas Vázquez. I'm going to give Lucas Vázquez a 6. Tchouaméni seems to be establishing himself as a centre-back. I'm surprised he doesn't give Asensio more minutes, but well, it was a game for Usant. It's almost a reward match for the players who were here last season. And in the end, Tchouaméni, whether you like him or not, was on the team last season. Clearly. 6 for Tchouaméni, who didn't have much work, to be honest, in the midfield. He didn't have much influence on the game playing as a centre-back. Pachuca hardly attacked, or very little in the first 15 or 20 minutes when Madrid came out asleep. A 6 for Tchouaméni. Rudiger, maybe a little better, but against an opponent that practically generated nothing in attack, even in the moments when they could dominate the most. I'm going to give Rudiger a 6.5. I can't give Rudiger more than a 6.5. They're saying that Madrid has pretty much agreed with Davis for next season. Also Arnold for the fullbacks, but I think it's logical. Fran Garcia, in matches against much weaker opponents like yesterday's, can create more danger. But honestly, he didn't generate that much either. And defensively, he leaves me with quite a few shortcomings. In yesterday's match, well, he didn't have much defensive work, and offensively, he didn't contribute much either. I'm going to give it a 6, just a good one. He didn't make any mistakes, so just a decent score. Camavinga. To be honest, at the start of the match, Real Madrid was pretty sleepy on, And he made a lot of mistakes in his passes. Camavinga was the one who made the most mistakes, honestly. Then little by little, he started to get into the game. Then little by little, he started to get into the rhythm. I'm not surprised that Ancelotti was really angry in the first few minutes of the match because the team came out, just waiting to see what would happen, literally. Then he started improving. I'm going to give him a 6.5 for Camavinga, which I think is a good rating. For me, he's the best solution for the midfield, considering how the squad is and taking into account that Modric obviously can't play every match. Fede Valverde was chosen as the second best player of the match. I don't quite agree. He was okay, he was good, but for example, I like Jude Bellingham more. Then we talk about Vinicius, who for me was the best. I agree with that choice. But well, Fede Valverde had some mid-range shots. He didn't have an excessively brilliant game, nor did he need to. A 6.5 from me, for Fede Valverde. I want your opinion in the comments on this video with the ratings you think. I really liked Bellingham's game. I know that Pachuca was a very soft team, a team that didn't have a strong midfielder to work with, were aggressive, and they let him receive the ball very comfortably. Besides the fact that the defense wasn't pushing up much, which meant Jude Bellingham was receiving the ball very comfortably. But that said, it's true they let him play very comfortably, but he also played well, made a lot of key passes, and was very involved. Jude Bellingham was receiving the ball very comfortably. But that said, it's true they let him play very comfortably, but he also played well, made a lot of key passes, and was very involved. Even when, for me, Real Madrid was pretty sluggish during those first 20 to 25 minutes or so, Bellingham was the one who seemed like he wanted to pull the team along, because you will never see Bellingham being sluggish in a match. That feeling of superiority he has never turns into complacency. Never. For me, it's an 8.5 for Bellingham. I can't give him a top score, but it's an 8.5 for Bellingham. Vinicius, who just received the best award. By the way, tonight you're going to have a video where I talk about the best and what I think about it. I'm going to dig a little deeper into the voting for the best, discussing the topic of Vinicius, etc. But talking about the match, I think he was the best in the end. The play for the first goal is a masterpiece. The cut on the goalkeeper and then the goal that Kylian Mbappé set up was really good. He caused a lot of damage down the left side. Then he scores the third goal from a penalty that, by the way, he doesn't take very well. I have to say, he doesn't take the penalty very well, but in the end, it was the third goal, but that gives me a top score. I agree with him, he was the best in the match. A 9 for Vinicius Jr. and Kylian. Rodrygo before Mbappé. Let's talk about Rodrygo, who scored a great goal. A very good goal from Rodrygo with his right foot, aiming for the top corner. Fantastic goal from Rodrygo. And it's true that playing in the position that suits him the least, the right side, he created some problems. 2001, he scores that goal for Pachuca. Then in the end, he ends up playing a bit more on the left. An 8.5 for Rodrygo. I think he was below Vinicius's level, okay? And about the same level as Jude Bellingham and Kylian Mbappé, who was clearly not at his best, but he wanted to play this match because it's clear that it's a final. And these are the matches that really define your career, regardless of the opponent's level. I insist on that. The match was very important for Madrid. It's a title. It's the title of world champion, which is the biggest title you can achieve. Although, of course, winning the Champions League is quite a bit harder than winning the Intercontinental Cup. I refer you to the evidence, but hey, you guys understand me. He scores that goal. Vinicius sets up for him. It's basically just pushing it in. He had a few more breakthroughs. Well, let's give Kylian Mbappé a 7.5. We'll see, because without Vinicius against Sevilla, Mbappé obviously has to be the key man in attack. Let's see if he improves, if he has a better 2025 or not. And then with the substitutes, well, I'm going to go through this a bit quickly. Brahim, is just that they came in when the match was already decided. Brahim gets a 5.5. To be honest, he didn't participate much. Dani Ceballos was playing as a pivot there against a rival that was practically already defeated. He didn't create much danger either or get to the final third. Another 5.5 for Dani Ceballos. Luka Modric, applauded by the crowd, obviously for his career, by the Qatari audience, which was 99% of the stadium, by the way. It didn't quite fill up. By the way, a 6 for Luka Modric. And then Asensio and Arda Güler barely played. They hardly stepped on the field. And not much more. I'm not going to rate them. And then Carlo Ancelotti, well, he becomes the most decorated coach in Real Madrid's history, after Miguel Muñoz. I think the lineup was logical. Honestly, it was logical. It's just that against a rival that wasn't really there, I think it was very noticeable that Ancelotti got angry in the first 20 minutes because the team was asleep. And that was obvious right away. It was noticeable right away. From there, well, the substitutions were logical. And I'm going to give Carlo Ancelotti a 7. A 7 for Carlo Ancelotti in this match. I don't need a big field direction either. Carlos Ancelotti, Madrid on Ancelotti's part has this match. These are the ratings. Friends of the Maldini world, Real Madrid, world champions of clubs, champions of the Intercontinental Cup. One more title for the Real Madrid trophy cabinet. Then there will be the Club World Cup. I'm telling you, it would be very surprising if there was an American finalist in the Club World Cup, because this is a whole different ballgame. In the qualifying group, I think the usual thing will happen. Last 12 titles have gone to 12 Europeans. It's normal for 2 Europeans to reach the final, then we'll see what happens. That will be normal today. But in football, fortunately, there are always a lot of surprises. Friends of Mundo Maldini, hug. Bye, 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 bye. 1000